where do I even begin? As I wrote this letter, I struggled. Unlike my Chilean letter, the sister video to this one, this did not flow out as quickly or as easily. I struggled to find the balance between vulnerability, honesty, and my gratitude for the experience. Nonetheless, here is my attempt at all three. This is my love letter to Barcelona. This, as we know, is not my first rodeo, and you had some very big shoes to fill. You challenged me in more ways than I could have imagined, and maybe even in more ways than I would have liked. Sometimes I did hold you to the standards of memories from my past, a disservice to you and to me. I didn't share my experiences here as I did in Chile, not because I didn't want to. The truth is, I did not always feel like myself in Barcelona. Naturally, there are challenges that come with living abroad. I am all too familiar with them. But what I felt more strongly were the challenges that come with navigating life and getting older. I never thought I would experience such culture shock here, yet I did. And some of the experiences stuck with me, and some even tainted my experience. In reflecting, however, I wholeheartedly accept that it was a lack of preparation on my part and the natural differences that come when moving to another country with a different language and culture. I was in Barcelona to get my master's degree in travel journalism, and even though my dream had been to live in Spain, at this point, it was not my reason to be here. I was here for this program. And like with anything in life, there are good things and bad things. There are pros and cons. But in the name of honesty, I did experience my fair share of disappointment. Perhaps a lesson on managing expectations, yes. But I did let that disappointment consume me in the beginning part of my experience. So much so that I almost left in June. Spoiler alert, I did not. I was not done yet with my experience. Instead, I took it as an opportunity to put my focus elsewhere and work on something that I've been thinking about for quite some time. Barcelona was where navigating life abroad came to life. Podcast, but also an idea, a dream, a vision, and for that, Barcelona will always have a special place in my heart. My time, of course, was filled with lots of experiences and lots of learnings. I learned that I was not made for European summers, that Barcelona is more than Gaudi, that I like Aperol Spritz and vermouths, that patatas bravas doesn't beat some fries with ranch, but it comes pretty close. I carry much of my roots and upbringing in the US with me. I learned that there are kind souls everywhere, willing to help you and support you, no questions asked. Equally, there are also those very unkind individuals with the occasional superiority complex. I met people from different countries, ages, backgrounds, ambitions, but we all saw a value in travel. There are some people you connect with instantly, that you can only help think if it was fate or the universe at play. You learn that travel styles and working styles are very different and very important when it comes to traveling and working together. I learned that Barcelona is one of the safest cities I have traveled to and lived in, and has one of the best public transportation systems. It's a city that celebrates its culture with what feels like a festival every month, so much so that I couldn't keep up. It's easy to fall in love with Barcelona. I understand why so many do. It's moments like this that make me fall in love with Barcelona. For me, those moments went as quickly as they came. I learned that I am the exception and not the rule. Here, I was reminded once again of the power of traveling and living abroad. Traveling will not fix your problems, but it will give you perspective. And if you're open enough to the people you meet and the places you go, you will change. It was here that I remembered why I love speaking Spanish. It makes me feel so close to my identity. And having my life 99% in Spanish, I really got to know who I am as a Spanish speaker. But it was also here that at times I was reminded, no matter how well my Spanish is, I may not be Latina enough for some, or American enough for others. That dreams come true, but in their own time, to accept what is and make some peace with it. This year was a laundry list of existential questions, and Barcelona just happened to be my stage for it. Many carried over from last year. What is home? Do I even like to travel anymore? What am I doing here? Did I make the right decision? Will it be worth it? And so on. What can I say? 2022 was interesting. Got more questions, but I did get some answers. Like, I found that sometimes you do get tired of the very thing you love, and you must ask yourself if you can sustain a particular lifestyle. What does that change look like, and what things must you give up to make the changes happen? Funnily, all of these answers came to me while traveling on a long train ride from Napoli to Rome. Being in Barcelona allowed me to call another city home, even if it was for a little while. Home is an interesting word. It has significantly changed throughout my 20s. And when I was young, I thought when I finally moved to Spain, I would be home. It was in Barcelona that I experienced feeling homesick for the first time. You realize that home sometimes is not about where you are born, that home is where you decide. Or better put, as Leticia Sala writes, there where your mind goes when feeling homesick. And on the topic of home, it was a lot of coming back to myself. Home, if you will. I took myself on many solo dates to the beach and cafes and just walks around my neighborhood. I journaled about boundaries and learned how hard they are. That healing is a lot uglier than social media makes it look. That letting go comes in many different forms, and you have to do it over and over again. That sometimes you don't really get the apology or conversation you think you deserve, so you make peace, you move on. Now, it wasn't all reflecting and introspection, but to give an honest account, I felt the need to share the more intimate moments. Now, when I thought my time came to live in Barcelona, I thought I would be somewhere new almost every weekend. But my wanderlust and travel meter, there was nothing left. But every now and then, I would be struck with a sense of wanderlust and desire to travel, and I managed to squeeze out a few trips. Like to Croatia, a 4-city, 10-day trip with a group that at the time were basically strangers. It brought back that wanderlust in me, and it also reminded me how exhausting traveling can be. Or on my solo trip to Andorra, where I needed to reconnect, be alone, and ground myself. Or to cities that were never on my list, like Nuremberg, to film our docuseries Voces de Nuremberg, a project I am very proud of. Or to cities that were definitely on my list, like Rome, where I finally got to live out my Lizzie McGuire Eat, Pray, Love moment and put to use those 7 years of Italian. And as my time in Spain was coming to an end, one final, very small trip to Valencia with my friends Vic and Gab. The months came and went, filled with good days and not so good days. And in November, it was time to graduate, and I have my master's in travel journalism, and I got that baby in Spanish. I am proud of that. In thinking about what I will miss the most about Barcelona, I'm going to borrow my friend's answer, la parte visual. You see, whether it was the Catalunya flags draped on the balconies or the floor tiles found on almost every sidewalk, Gaudi's masterpieces scattered throughout the city, it all served as a daily reminder that I was living in Barcelona and therefore fulfilling a dream of mine. On the good days, but especially on the bad days, the pequeño detalles told me, you are here, so be here. Part of me will miss who I was there, and those moments eating burgers with my friends, laughing, walking around the city, and me trying to remember every detail of them, of me, of us in the city. I can't wait to reflect and see how Barcelona changed me. And of course, I will miss my favorite place, the beach. 20-minute walk from my apartment. It was here that I found myself when I felt lost. It's also where I found my way back to myself, where I journaled so much that my hands could not keep up. It's where I asked questions and I found answers. Here, where I cried. It's where I went when I felt homesick, where I went when I wanted to feel peace. And it was here that I found gratitude and love for Barcelona. And in my final week, I went one last time. As I watched the sunrise on that very cold morning, I asked myself, was it worth it? Of course it was. How could it not be? Barcelona, gracias por las experiencias, las lágrimas, las risas, los aprendizajes, por las personas que trajiste a mi vida. Por eso y por todo, te estaré eternamente agradecida. Merci. Adeu.